On option 2 here. Good choice. Let's get a new, or actually here, I'm going to go to my terminal here and I'm just going to create a new folder for this project. Okay, so we'll say make dir. We're going to practice our terminal commands a little bit. Oops. Make dir Flexbox Demo 2. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to code Flexbox Demo 2. All right. Did everyone catch the terminal commands that I loaded up to Mattermost? Okay. Yeah, if you didn't see them, they are up there. You can reference those. All right. Just close these guys out. Cool. So I've got this folder, and I want to create a index.html. And then let's create a CSS file, right? So style.css. Okay. And then in my index.html, I just want to get some boilerplate stuff up there. How do I do that? Exclamation. Boom. All right. We'll call this row. What was it called? Nav with 2 rows. With 2 rows. Am I going to see this title anywhere on my page? Yeah, only in the tab, right? Because it's only the stuff that's inside of our body element that is visible. Okay, now how do I link my style sheet? Link rel equals style sheet, right? And then I'm just going to say style.css. Okay, so we're going to add a couple standard things up here in our style.css. Yeah, so this is kind of just our reset, so to speak. We're trying to take away some of these browser defaults. Okay, and then our box sizing, let's set that to border box. Pop quiz, Rudy, what does that mean when I set it to border box? Why are we doing it? All right, little help for Rudy? Yes. Dante. Not from the content, right? Yeah, I don't want to size it based on content. I want to size it based on the border itself. Good. All right, so we've got our boilerplate stuff in here. Let's go ahead and load up this page in our browser. Bring this over here. Okay, I'll just open the file. And where is it? Dojo, Stacks, Web Fundamentals, Lectures. Here's our Flexbox demo. Cool, nothing there yet. Let's create something here. So in terms of how we're going to frame this page, this is how I'm thinking about it. Okay? You could let me know if this makes good sense to you guys. I'm thinking that we've got one thing here at the top. This is our top row, sort of like our nav. And then we're going to have another box that's going to surround everything else on the entire page, right? Because it looks like there are some margins on the right and the left. Mm-hmm. And it would be a little bit more clear if you were seeing my screen, but unfortunately things get a little faded on the projector. So yeah, let's start taking care of that top navigation. So I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to create a nav element. And then inside there, we're going to create some sort of an unordered list, right? Okay. So I'll say UL. It's going to have, oops. I'm going to say LI. And how many of those do we have? We have 4 elements. And each one of those guys is probably going to have a link inside of it, right? So it's going to be an actual A element. So then outside here, I'm just going to say times 4, and there we go. Yeah, pretty cool, right? Yeah, so let's just put some pound symbols in here. And then inside this was home, right? Oh, project name, home, about, and contact. Okay, so project name. This is going to be pound, home, pound, about, pound, projects. Oh, yes. Sorry. Contact. Okay, cool. So let's see, how do we want to style this guy? It looks like we have a background color here that's sort of like a light gray from what I can tell, right? So let's get our little handy dandy color picker, and I'm going to try to use Nick's trick here. I'll just copy that in. So that's what my background color is going to be, right? 21, 21, 21. Okay, I'd say let's give this a class, because probably it looks like on this page we also have another nav element over on the right hand side. Yeah, in the sidebar. So let's just say class equals top nav. Okay, and then inside my style sheet, let's target that class, top nav. We'll say background is that color. Okay, and then if I'm looking at the picture, I'm also seeing there's some kind of padding going on, maybe on the left and right sides. You see how project name is not right up against the left there? And it looks like that value is actually going to be the same as what I want these margins to be on the left and the right. So that will be kind of interesting. We'll see how we want to handle that in a little bit. So let's just kind of eyeball this and say maybe our left padding, or our right and left padding should be, I don't know, a couple hundred pixels, something like that. So let's just say padding. The top and bottom padding is just going to be 0. Okay? And then my left and my right padding, we'll say, I'll go with 250 for now. Okay, let's refresh this guy and see what it looks like. Pretty sweet, right? Okay, so right now our list has those bullets. Does anybody remember how we can take those out? Yeah, list style type, right? I can set that to none. So if I go top nav UL, that means inside an item that has a class of top nav, if I have an unordered list, I want to give it this list style type. Oops, not style type. There we go. Of none. Refresh this real quick. Okay, so now my bullets are gone, but again, these guys are not sitting in line, right? So how can I make them sit in a line? Yeah, let's flex them, right? Let's use this handy dandy tool we just learned about. So let's say top nav li, or actually, sorry, not, it's going to be the ul still, so let's just get rid of this. Inside here we'll say display flex. Let's see what that does. Alright. A little better. Still kind of rough in some ways, but that's okay. So, yeah, Drew.
What exactly does that do by display flex?
So what flex is doing is it's allowing all of these things to reside on the same level, same level. So before, by default, they have this display of block, which means that everything's going to stack vertically, right? Okay. So for these LIs, it looks like I'm going to want to add some padding of some sort, at least according to the picture here. Yeah. Let's add some padding, and then let's also change the text color to white. Okay, so we'll say dot top nav, and then inside the top nav, I'm going to target A elements. Okay, so let's say padding is going to be 20 pixels approximately. Color is going to be white. And how do I get rid of that underline that's on those links by default? Close. Text decoration, right? And we'll set that to none. So that'll take that off. Okay. We're pretty close here, but what's happening? Why did it not respect my padding? Does anybody know? This is kind of tricky, and it's something that maybe you guys didn't catch going through the platform. So we've dealt with a few different types of display. We've dealt with block. We've also dealt with inline block. Has anyone touched on inline display at all? So inline is another display type that doesn't get used that often, but certain things have a display of inline, like an anchor element. Okay? And what that means is that it's not going to respect the padding that you put inside there. However, if I want to change the display type of that A element to like block, for instance, it should respect my padding. So let's try that. Let's just give it a display of block. Oops. There we go. Now we've got what we want. I think I also want to take off the Griffin. You got a question?
I was going to say, I don't know, can you go over how to do the interactive for the nav bar? I noticed when it's highlighting over a certain name, since it's an href, or an input tag, that it changes the font color and the background.
Well, I think what this isn't cover. I'm thinking this is actually an active tab. Because see, we're on the home page, it's just showing us this is the one that's active. So we can do that. Yeah, we can have sort of a special active class to indicate which ones
Do you mind going
activate. No, not at all. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. All right. So let's just change the font family here because I think it's sans serif again. Serif. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to add this class as we were talking about to the second item, our home item. We'll give that a class of active. Okay. And then for the active one, it looks like the background is a solid black, right? Not this kind of dark gray. So let's say active background black. All right, and let's see what we got here. Okay, is that visible? I mean, I can see it on my screen. Looks pretty good. Anything else we needed to do on this upper bar? I think we're okay, right? All right. Cool. So let's say at this point we can now go ahead and start establishing our wrapper for everything else on the page, right? So right underneath here in my HTML, let's create this div and we'll give it a class of wrapper. All right. Inside the wrapper, it looks like I've got a couple things. I've got this div over here on the left that's holding all the content, right? And then I've got another div over on the right-hand side that's my sidebar. So let's create those two guys. On the left, I'm just going to use a main tag. And on the right, we'll say this is a class of sidebar. Okay. I'll open up both of these guys. Cool. Now, I know that I'm going to want these two things to sit next to one another. Yeah. So what am I probably going to need to do with my wrapper? I'll have to flex it, right? By flexing the wrapper, it's going to allow those two inner items to sit next to one another. So let's go target this wrapper. Wrapper display flex. Okay, and then let's drop something in here so that we can actually see it. So it looks like in my main area, I'm just going to have this big grayish hero, we'll call it. And the background for that is E. Cool. So we'll go back to our HTML here, and then inside the main, I'm going to create this div that will be our hero. So I'll give it a class of hero. And then go back to our style sheet here and target that guy. .hero is going to have a background of that color that I just grabbed. And then the other thing it looks like it's going to have is this big hello world. That looks like maybe a H1 tag. It's pretty huge, right? Pretty big.
Can you just make it a P tag and then change the font?
Yeah, you can. And in fact, like when I'm checking over your exams, I'm not going to actually check the tags and say, oh, you used a P tag there. You're getting docked for that. Yeah, so we'll say H1, hello world. Okay. And then after that, what do we have? I'm just going to use some lorem ipsum because I'm lazy. Cool. So we'll do a P tag. We'll say lorem. Done deal. Let's take a quick look at this real quick. All right. So what's the issue that you guys can tell? So yeah, we don't have any margins on this in that wrapper. So I probably want to apply it if I'm trying to stick with 250, which is what I was using for the top one. Let's use 250 on this as well. So in my wrapper, down here, let's say margin is going to be 0 for the top and bottom, and then it will be 250 for the left and right. All right, that's a little better. Now they're starting to line up properly. It also looks like there should be some margin underneath this nav bar, right? So I'm going to eyeball that and say maybe that's like 20, 15 or 20, something like that. So I can go to my top nav up here and I can say margin bottom 20 pixels. Okay. Great. And then it also looks like this hero is going to have some kind of pretty serious padding, right? So I'm going to say the padding on that hero is probably 40 pixels. Let's go down there. Padding, 40 pixels. That's pretty good, no? Not bad. Okay, and then under that, yes, question? You know, we could kind of go either way. And I thought about that a little bit, but I thought to myself, if I'm going to use inner padding on this guy, I'll just use left and right margins on that. But there is definitely more than one way to do it. Yeah. Okay. So underneath this hello world, I know that I've got a row of boxes here. Okay. And then I have another row of boxes, so really it's kind of like we're duplicating the exact same content, right? Yeah, Drew.
No, I just got
Oh, you're good, okay. Cool, so let's start to create this row of boxes. So under here, under my hero, let's create a div. Maybe we'll give this a class of boxes, or box container. And then inside that, I want to have 3 boxes, right? Let me see what else is inside those boxes. We've got a header, some lorem, and then a button. Well, I'm going to do it as 2 rows of 3.
Okay.
Yeah. You could probably get away with doing it as like 1 row of 6 that wraps.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say 2 rows of 3. All right. And then we'll duplicate it. All right, so here we'll say div box, and then inside the box I'm going to have a h3 plus a p tag plus a button, right? Nice. And then the first one is, oh, they all say the same thing. This makes it really easy. Cool. So I'm just going to say heading, and then we got lorem inside here. Oh, come on, lorem. You let me down. Okay, and then view details. Ooh. Details. What is the thing for those right arrows? Double right arrow ASCII. Symbol elements. Maybe we can actually find what that looked like on the button. Oh, there it is. This guy right here. So I'm just going to grab this little hex code and I'll put that in. And we should get it. Okay. Let me try this lorem one more time. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate the box 3 times. Anybody know how I did that? Whoa, maybe I duplicated it too many times. There we go. So I got 3 of them. So what I did is I held down my Option key and Shift, and then just used the down arrow. Okay. Does anybody know how I can move things around without copying or cutting and pasting? Yeah. No. Okay, so I can hold down my Alt or Option key and just use the up or down arrows.
The highlight and then Alt.
You actually really don't even have to highlight. So if I was just trying to move this specific line, I can go like that. The indentation got a little messed up, but
But
yeah.
if I want to move the whole selection of it, then it would be.
Then you'd want to highlight the entire thing. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we've got these 3 boxes, and I want to duplicate this 1 time, right? Because I'm going to have 2 rows of this. So highlight that, and then do that 1 time. Cool. And let's see what this looks like. Not so great. That's cool. Let's get rid of that. So in order to get these guys to sit on the same level, it's going to be the same concept, right? You want flex the items or the container? The container. Yeah. So this is kind of one thing that's a little bit different between flexing and inline block. With inline block, we have to modify not the container, but the items themselves, right? Okay. So let's do that. Let's say over here, my box container is going to have a display of flex. And then how do I get them to span the entire width and distribute evenly? Justify content. Oops. Space between. Okay. Let's check this out. Wow, that's looking a lot better. Awesome. Let's drop in some margin here underneath our hero, right? So that we give that some space. Yeah, I'm thinking like 40 or 35, something like that. So we'll say margin, bottom, 35 pixels. Go back. Okay, pretty good. And then with these boxes, it looks like there's a little bit of space in between them as well, right? So let's work on getting that. The way that I'm going to do it is I may use that handy-dandy calc function. I've been getting a lot of mileage out of that, and hopefully you guys will too. Okay, so for the box class, let's say I want the width to be, actually maybe we can do it a different way, just so I can show you guys that there's always more than one way to do things. What if I want to say, I want to give all of these boxes a right margin, but not the last one? Does anybody know how I can do that? No?
Creating a file and then open.
Here, I'll show you how we could do it. So we could say box, and then I could say not last child. That means that I'm trying to apply this to every box in a row except the very last one. So let's see if we can get that to work. So I'll just say margin right is going to be 20 pixels. Let's take a look. Okay, maybe I went a little too far. I should do like 15. That looks pretty good, right? Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. So right now these rows are sort of right up against one another. Let's create a little bit of space so we can establish our box container has a bottom line. So let's go in here, box container, margin, bottom. It's going to be 20 pixels. That's pretty good. All right, and then it looks like the headings have a little bit of space underneath them, right? And the paragraph does as well. Okay. So the reason why they're not in our case is that we've zeroed out everything. So all I need to do at this point is add back some bottom margin to these two things, right? So let's do that. To target those, I'm just going to say inside a box, I want to target a H3, I think it was. And then I also want to target a P tag. And I just want to give them some margin bottom, like 8 pixels. Does that look about right? Okay. And then these buttons look, the text looks a little bit small to me, so I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. So buttons by default will have smaller text than everything else on the page. So if I want to fix that, I can say target all buttons and just say font size is going to be 16 pixels. There we go. And then probably these need a little bit of padding as well, right? Because it looks like the view details is spaced out from its border. So I'll say padding is maybe 10 pixels. Oops, I didn't mean to refresh that. Oh, look, things changed. Now I have like a gradient background on these buttons, right? Looks like there's some border radius in there, so let's get that in there as well. And I think the background on those buttons there is just white, from what I can tell. So we'll just say background, white, border radius. All right. Let's pick 5 pixels. Pop quiz, Sean, what's this doing? Border radius?
Border radius is within the borders boundary.
Yes, exactly. Cool. Let's go back and let's take a quick look. Yeah, this is looking really nice. Yeah, it's super faint.
Can you change the color?
Yeah, I can change the, just for you guys, I'll turn the border to, we'll say border color is black. Is that better? Yeah, much better. Okay, cool. All right, so we got pretty much everything on the left-hand side. There is this little footer down here. We can drop that in there real quick, company. So I'll just create a footer. And that would be, yeah, I'm going to put that, where do I want that? If I put it under the sidebar, it's going to mess with my flexing, though. Oh, wait. Hold on one sec. Oh, you know what? It needs to be, yeah. Alright, that kind of sucks. Alright, no worries. I'll just put it down here. So we'll say footer. And then inside that, we've got this thing that says @company. Okay, I think the copyright symbol is something like this. And copy company 2013. Okay. And then to actually style this, it looks like in here we have a, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's actually a line that separates it from all the main content. I guess it's not very visible there. Yeah, so let me just drop that in there. We'll go to our style sheet and we'll target the footer. And I'm going to say border top will be 1 pix solid. I'll just do it black since that would be more visible for you guys. And then we also want to give it probably some top padding and some top margin to kind of space it out from whatever's above it, right? So I'll say padding top, whoops, 20, margin top, 20 pixels. What else do we need? All right, let me just refresh it, see what it looks like. Okay, so the only problem here is that it's spanning the entire page, right? So I want to shrink that. So to do that, I should be able to give it the left and the right margin, just like we did with the main box. So let's say margin is going to be 0 for top and bottom, and then 250 pixels for left and right. Boom. Looking great, right? And you guys couldn't see it in the actual picture, but there is a line there that kind of separates this from here. So the only thing that we haven't done is the sidebar. Let's drop it in, do that sidebar, and we'll be golden. The sidebar has a background that is kind of this light grayish color, so let me see if I can grab that using our color picker. F5, oops, I keep doing that. Okay, copy that. Let's go apply that to our sidebar. Oh, I haven't selected it yet. All right. Dot sidebar. Background, oops. Gonna be that. Okay. All right, and then how am I going to calculate the width? Well, I'm thinking let's do this. Let's give it a width of like 200 pixels. That looks right to my eyes. So let's say width 200 pixels. Okay. And then for now, I'm just going to give it a height. I'll take this away in a second, but let's just give it some sort of height so that we can see it. So if I go back here to my page, okay, yeah, I can do that. All right, so, and I'll just put a little comment in here, just saying remove these later. Okay, so we'll say border 1 pixel, solid black. All right, is that a little better? Okay, cool. So it's saying that the sidebar, I was trying to make that 200 pixels, but that didn't seem to work. And the reason why is because there's actually not any content in there, right? And this guy is going to occupy as much space as it can, assuming that it can sort of push other things out of the way. So how can I rectify that? And how about if I give an explicit width to my main area? That should restrict it, right? Keep it from encroaching over there. So let's say main, where did I target that? Oh, I haven't targeted at all. All right, so main is going to have a width of, this is where we could probably use our calc, right? So I can say calc, and I'll say 100% minus 220 pixels. Why am I saying 220? Say that again. I wanted to give it a little bit of margin in between these two guys. So if I add that 20 pixels in there, it means that they won't be right up next to one another. At least that's my intention. So let's see what happens here. Ah, that's a little better. Why are they still butting up against one another, though?
In CSS, you get class name type name.
Yeah, the reason I didn't use a class is because this is an element, right? Let me just inspect it real quick and see what this is doing. So my sidebar is 200. And then my main is what, 673? Why is that? Yeah, or I could just give it some margin. I guess, margin right. I'm not really sure what the issue was there. Okay. That's doing what we want. It seems like the calculation should have backed down my main a little bit more, right? All right, cool. So we've got our sidebar. What do we want to put in there? Some links? Sidebar, okay. Yeah. Let's just do that a few times. So over here, I've got inside my sidebar, I'm going to create a nav element. Yeah, actually, let's do this. We'll say nav, not 3 navs. Yes, 3 navs. All right, nav ul li, whoops, and then we'll say inside there would be an a element, right? And I want to do that times 4, and then this times 3. Oh crap, and now I have to type in all those. Garbage. Alright, so let's just put a pound in here. We'll say link, right? Pound.
Sidebar
Link.
for the first one, and the next three will link.
Oh, what? Oh, I see. So there are 3 of them. I got it. Okay, so link. Let me get rid of this. And then I'm just going to dump these, and then we'll repeat it, right? Just to make it a little bit easier. So in front of that UL, I was just going to create that little H4, whatever it was, just saying sidebar. Okay, let's see what that looks like before we copy it. All right, we'll style it in a second, but actually it's kind of doing what we want it to do, right? So let's go ahead and copy this down twice. So we got it 3 times. All right. Now, same thing with this guy. I don't want those bullets, right? Because it doesn't have it in there. So how do I take those out? List style type of none, right? Okay. What we could do, let's see. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing. Let's just do sidebar and then UL. Yeah. And then we'll say list style type none. None. Okay, that's cool. That took those off. Now I also want some padding in my sidebar, right? Looks like probably about 15 pixels of padding, somewhere thereabouts. Maybe even more. let's say, whoops. Let's just put this as padding 20 pixels. That's pretty good. Okay, why is this overlapping line? When I notice these little funny things, I want to point it out to you guys so that you know how to handle this when you come up against this. The problem is I set an explicit height on this sidebar. So because I said I wanted a height of however many pixels, I think it was like 200. Now this is overlapping. If I take away that explicit height, it will open up and hold whatever I put inside. That's pretty much how I want it to work, right? So let's go to our sidebar. Let's remove this height. And I think, yeah, I'll leave the border for now just so it's a little bit more visible. There we go. Anybody know why it's doing that? It's because we're flexing, isn't it? So when they're flexing, they're having the same height. Well, let's decrease that height then, because that's kind of sucky. What if I put height auto though? No, it does nothing. All right, fair enough. Let's just decrease it to like 250, 300 for now. That's pretty good. All right, and then the other thing we want to do is we want to create some round borders on this guy, right? Kind of hard to see. So we'll say border radius 5 pixels. I'll bring this height up because we don't want to delete that later. Keep refreshing the wrong thing. Okay, and then the only other thing that I notice here is that we want some spacing out of these guys, right? They're a little bit tight right now. So let's say our H4, which is what that is, so inside my sidebar, H4, let's give it a margin bottom of 10 pixels. And then the other thing that I want to space out, it looks like the links have about the same amount of space under them as well, right? So in that case, I can target both an H4 and a sidebar LI, right? Let's go back and see what that looks like. Oh, now it's doing that again. Yeah. What a pain in the butt. Alright, let's change this to 4. Okay. My links have this underline underneath them, which I don't want, so let's get rid of that, right? We'll say dot sidebar link text decoration none. Okay, that's better. And then also the links are kind of spaced away from the left, right? So I can give that UL some left padding if I want to replicate that. So let's say sidebar UL padding left would be 15 pixels. Every time. All right. Pretty good, right? All right. Any questions? The video yesterday, let me stop the video here.